Hello boys and girls, welcome back. Today we are going to be solving two-step inequalities. So let's get started. Our objective for today is I will be able to solve and graph two-step inequalities. So solving two-step inequalities is just like solving two-step equations. The only difference is graphing and our special rule. So let's take a look at the steps again. Step 1. Undo the addition or subtraction, whatever is in that inequality. And what we're doing with that is to remove the constant. So we are moving the constant, we're removing the constant so we can try to get that variable by itself. Step 2, we're going to undo the multiplication or division, and the purpose of that is to remove the coefficient, or the number that is right next to the variable. Step 3, we're going to graph our solution on a number line. And remember, if we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, we have to flip the sign. Please don't forget about that. So let's take a look at some examples. So, number 1, we have 4x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 18. So let's take a look. Step 1, always like to draw the line. It's always a good place to start. So step 1 is to undo the constant, or do the addition or subtraction. So in this problem we have a subtraction first, so that means we're going to do the inverse, or add 2 on both sides. Okay, negative 2 plus 2, they cancel out, so we just rewrite the 4x. We rewrite the greater than or equal to sign, and now we have 18 plus 2, which is 20. Next step is to undo the multiplication or division, or to get rid of the coefficient. Well, right now we have 4x, and when it's smushed together, that means multiplication, so we need to divide to undo it. So we have to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4, that cancels out to get just x. We did not divide by a negative number, so that stays exactly the same. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Right, so we're going to have our 3 dashes. We're going to label it 4, 5, and 6. Because it has an or equals to sign, it's going to be a solid dot. And we have x is greater than or equal to greater than right. There we go. There's our first example. Our second example, let's take a look at this one. Number 2, we have x over 2 plus 4 is less than negative 7. So let's take a look. First, undo the addition or subtraction. So this time we have a plus 4, so we need to undo it by subtracting 4 on both sides. Okay, these cancel out, and that just leaves us with 8 over 2. Bring down the sign exactly how it is. We have negative 7 minus 4. Well, remember, negative 7 minus 4, we have to keep change opposite. Negative 7 plus negative 4. So, negative 7 plus negative 4 is negative 11. Now we undo this right here. X over 2, remember, x over 2, another way to write it, or say it, is x divided by 2. So to undo that 2, we need to multiply both sides by 2. Okay, those cancel out. We just have an x left to bring down the sign. Because we didn't multiply by a negative, it stays the same. We have negative 11 times 2, which is negative 22. Let's graph our points. Negative 22 goes in the middle. Negative 23 goes to the left. Negative 21 goes to the right. It's going to be an open dot because it's a less than sign. And x is less than negative 2, less than left. So we're drawing the arrow to the left. Next examples, we have 1/4 y plus 1 is equal to negative 11. So let's take a look. We do the opposite, or the inverse of the addition or subtraction first. So in this case we need to subtract 1 from both sides. That leaves us with 1/4 y. Bring down the sign, is less than negative 11 plus negative 1, which is negative 12. Okay, now remember when we have 1/4 times y, and when there's a fraction as the coefficient, we can just simply multiply by the reciprocal, or the flip. So that leaves us with y. Bring that right down because that's not a negative. So y is less than, so now we have negative 12 times 4 over 1. So negative 12 times positive 4 is negative 48 over 1, which is just negative 48. Let's graph it. We have negative 49, negative 48, negative 47. It's an open dot because it's just the less than sign. Okay? Y is less than left. So the arrow points to the left. Number 4, we have negative 6z minus 4 is less than or equal to negative 40. First, we get rid of the constant. So we look at this, it's minus 4, so we need to add 4 on both sides. Negative 6z, bring that right down, is less than or equal to negative 40 plus 4. Well, remember, when we have a negative plus a positive, that's the same thing as subtracting and take the sign of the bigger number. So 40 minus 4 is 36. And since 40 is the bigger number, we need it to be a negative sign. Now we do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So we have to divide by negative 6 on both sides. Now here's our special rule. We have z is equal to, since we divided by a negative 6, we need to flip the sign. So instead of it being less than sign, it's going to be a greater than or equal to sign. Negative 36 divided by negative 6 is positive 6. So now we will graph. We have 5, 6, and 7. It's going to be a closed dot because it's greater than or equal to, and an arrow towards the right. Let's look at a couple more examples before you guys will try one on your own. Okay. And a good strategy, boys and girls, while you're watching these videos, maybe if you want to pause these and try it on your own and then see how I did it, that might be a good strategy to help you learn from what we're doing. So first we're going to subtract 7 on both sides to get rid of that plus 7. That cancels out, so we're just going to get x over negative 5 is, bring it right down, less than negative 2 plus negative 7, which is negative 9. Okay, now we have x divided by negative 5. So to undo it, we need to multiply both sides by negative 5. So that leaves us with x. Now because we multiplied by a negative, we had to flip the sign. Negative 9 times negative 7 is positive 45. So we graph it. We have 44, 45, 46. Since it's an just a greater than sign, it's an open, and greater than goes to the right. Alright. Now let's take a look at what we're doing here now. We have 1/3 w plus 1/4 is less than or equal to 3/4. First, even though there's fractions, it's the same thing. We're going to add or subtract first. So let's take a look. We're going to subtract 1/4 from both sides. And I'm going to eat easy on you here. 1/3 w. We're going to bring down the sign just how we had it. 3/4 minus 1/4. Super easy. I already gave you common denominator. 2/4. Now we're going to multiply that by the reciprocal to undo the 1/3 w. So multiply by 3 over 1. I'm going to put it off to the side w. Because it's a positive, we're going to keep the sign exactly the same. We have 2 times 3 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4. And you can reduce that to 1 and 1/2. W is less than or equal to 1 and 1/2. How I would graph it is put a 1, 1.5, and 2. Okay, we know that it's a closed dot because it has the or equal to sign or the line underneath the inequality. And since its W is less than or equal to, less than goes to the left. So at this time, I would like you to try these two on your own. So pause the video, try these two on your own. Remember that this is included in your grade. Right? And if you have any questions, you don't have to write down questions, but if you do have them, I highly suggest that you write them down so then I can help you work through anything that you might have. So thank you so much for actively listening, and I hope you have a great night, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.